I took a short and made 4R. Let's see what I did. Welcome back. Let's go review my trades from today. And it was quite frustrating earlier in the morning because I did have a setup long, but I hesitated. Like I had an order inside my zone, but just went to the proximal line, which is like the upper part of the zone, and it didn't fill me in, and it went straight to target. But I wasn't hesitating to the long side because I didn't see so like too much profit potential having a higher time frame zone at 13,422. I was careful there taking longs, even though the internals were long at the beginning, then they started breaking down. Um, but nevertheless, it was frustrating for me today because when the short started to develop, I did have a setup, and here it is my missed trade from today. I did have this setup, right? It was a textbook. I spotted this area once the tick chart broke down, right, and the retrace. But this trade to take a short here is very aggressive, so I was not counting this as my missed trade because even though I did have this area drawn there, I was I was more careful not to take this trade because the internals were not too short at this time. But here, when this happened, I did have everything aligned, right? I did have the tick chart making lower highs, and the ADQD is starting to roll over to the downside. So I happened to miss this trade. It was a pretty good trade, so I felt very frustrated in the morning. So this is where was the ADQD showing me the entry. Now the ADQD was very bullish in the beginning, but I've always said this: like I will only trade long if let's say if it's bullish, I need this retracement to get in long. But look at these numbers, guys. It's around 2,000. This is extremely high. So I was waiting for the long here around 1600, but it never came. Afterward, it came, but when it came here, then the tick chart was completely flipped to the downside. Um, on the tick side, on the tick chart, you can see how steadily coming down, lower highs, lower highs. Now this kind of um, rejection are good to the long side, but if you have a rejection from the bottom, you need to see this thing coming back up above everything um, to tell you, all right, it's a bullish move actually. Just I wanted to comment that because it was very frustrating in the morning for me because I did have some setups, but I didn't take them. I hesitated. But now here on the actual trades that I took, um, after the initial move down, this is a missed trade that I had. So after the initial move down, I spotted this area around all these pivots and overnight high. This blue line is the overnight high. Um, when the prices go above the overnight and then start to reject and steadily holds below, that's a very bearish move. So I wanted to take this thing. So this is my frustration, right? I wanted to take this area, right? This is my entry. Instead of taking a here confirmation, right? The picture was not the best setup. That's what I gotta tell you here. So I waited and then I put a limit order here. I didn't last not even 30 seconds in this trade. They stopped me out so quickly. I was stopped out. Now my stop was here. The entire area, if you want to see it completely, these two candles, this one even don't even have any wick here. So I do consider these two candles the entire area, right? So yeah, it could have gotten here and then come down from here if the same area was going to work, right? But evidently, this pivot was creating a lot of selling pressure that the price didn't even get there, never got there. So it started to go sideways, and then well, here's a picture of the um, internals. The ADQD came back to the zone that I had drawn for the short. Same thing for the tick chart. The trend line on the tick chart was very, very, very consistent. You don't see this every day, like the tick chart being so consistent here, making lower highs. Yeah, on the lower part, not so much, but this is one piece of information that you want to use to your favor, right? Even though here it was a good location for the tick chart, my stop was very tight. If you see me trading on the lives and the rest of my videos, I do have very tight stops, right? So well, I guess stopped out here, and then on my next trade, which is the same zone, um, but still the ADQD was holding in the same range. But now look at the tick chart. Price is going up. Price went up, stop me out, and look what the high. Look at the high of the tick chart. It's a lot lower, so it's very weak. Even though price action was pointing higher, it is very weak. So when I saw this, I decided to activate my order confirmation, and I got filled here, and this is my target. I was careful with this demand. Um, I would say what could have done better in this trade. All right, so this demand didn't work at all. This one, yes, it caused some retracement, but now we have a strong push to the downside here. Look at the ADQD, the confirmation of the ADQD coming back down, and now the market is around minus 0.8% from being 1 and something percent up for the day. So it's a complete reversal day. Like I've said, like every time we go up, we're gonna find more sellers, right? Those sellers are gonna come into the market, and if the buyers are not there to defend the price, uh, the price has to come down in order to find more buyers, right? So yes, the intermediate and the lower time frame trend is obviously up. We had a pretty nice move on the month of July, and we're just beginning the month of August. So yeah, the intermediate time frame and the lower time frame might be up, but the higher time frame um, is still down. So we need to account for that and not trade long um, happily in the upper part of the chart, right? That's the upper part of the curve, what we call the curve, right? So with that, I'm gonna just pass it over to George. He's gonna review his trade today. And please, I ask you if you like this type of content, you know the drill. Like, subscribe, and share. Hit that notification button so you get notified every time we go live. 9 a.m. for the pre-market and 9:25 for the live trading session. Thank you.
Hey, welcome back, YouTube. Thank you, Franco. In my daily recap for today, Monday, August 8th, 2022, I took 2 trades. One of them was in the live session with you guys. The other one I took afterwards. I am having a red day. It was essentially 2 break-even trades, though. My first trade here at 9:45 a.m., minus 0.1 of an R. My second trade I took at 1:02 p.m., and lost a quarter of an R. Let's go ahead and take a look at the trades. Look at the screenshot here. This is the trade I took live in the pre-market analysis. This high here created in the overnight. Excuse me, this was still the overnight here. Price broke to new highs and broke above last week's high, so I was bullish in my pre-market. Price did quickly get rejected off of that new high though, and then went sideways, and this is where we opened up. So we opened up, price shot up, we had a little pullback, but price came and opened to a new high, and I got in on a pullback. My original zone was down here, but we were showing all kinds of strength. I didn't want to miss out on this trade. Again, I was bullish, so I did. I originally had my entry down here, but I moved it up and got in the trade. And price never got to 1-to-1. This blue line up here was 1-to-1. Never made it up here. Started to work its way back. If we go to the next screenshot where I did finally get stopped out, this was the high at the 10 o'clock candle open, or at the basically the close at 10 o'clock of the first 30 minutes since the open. And price quickly retested that on the new hourly candle, but got rejected down. And we had one more test here and got rejected down. I had already tightened my stop a little bit, but on this rejection here, after testing that new high, I really wanted to see follow through after this pullback to new highs. I just closed out the trade there. Everything was starting to show signs of weakness, and eventually, yes, price did break down. You'll see on my next trade. And so that was my trade. I lost 1 point in total. I lost $40, but it's a trade. It was a good trade, a planned out trade, a trade that I have to take every time. If we would have had some bullish momentum and price would have followed through, I could have very easily hit target. So a trade that I have to take every time. Can't complain about that one. If we go ahead and take a look at the next trade that I took, it was at 1 p.m., just after the 1 o'clock candle opened. This was my original trade up here, the long on the pullback, and then I closed it here. Price then broke down, created a low here, retested that low, but was quickly rejected off, and then broke the trend line that had been established there. When it broke that trend line there, I had a pullback entry, risking basically the entire low zone down here. And it was a pretty good entry. I took very little heat right here. Price shot up. I pretty quickly got to 1-to-1, and I tightened up my stop beyond this opening pivot. I was risking a quarter of an R, and unfortunately, this was 2 o'clock right here. This was the new 2 o'clock candle that opened up and immediately shot down and stopped me out. And price has come down from there as well. So not a bad place to move my stop to beyond these two pivots essentially that I got stopped out for, minus a quarter of an R, minus $100. So I did lose $140 on the day. Really my frustration on the day wasn't either of those two trades. It was actually that I missed a trade here. We had a zone here created from 10 o'clock to about 11:15, and when it broke this low with volume in this candle, I would have had a potential entry right here on this pullback to take this short. So that I missed that trade. Franco and I were on our usual walk at that point in time. This is actually Franco's trade. Franco actually got into this trade and wrote it down on the NQ. His triggered before our walk though, and so I missed out on it. But the two trades I did take, nothing to complain about. Trades I have to take every single time. I mean, planned out. They are my setups. They are my. They are how I like to trade. But they just didn't work out today. I was able to not lose a ton of money, and so hopefully when the trades do work out, right, big winners, small losers, and my account will continue to grow. But those were my trades on the day. That was my recap. Thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you here tomorrow, 9 a.m. our pre-market analysis. 9:25 we go live. We show you our winners. We show you our losers. We try and be as transparent as possible. And thank you guys for joining us. Take care.